Welcome to week number 2 of our series, Weeds in the Garden. And I appreciate Tom's communion meditation this morning about bummer lambs because that fits right in with what we're talking about this whole series. A lot of us feel like bummer lambs at times. We feel broken. We feel defeated. And we're talking about that for the next several weeks, 5 or 6 weeks. I'm not really sure how long it's going to be. But I know that the first week we had a great response. A lot of you reached out and thanked several of us for the church being willing to dive into the weeds and talk about mental health issues. Next month is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so this is great timing for us to cover some of these things that I think for too long the church has just kind of stayed away from for whatever reason. So thank you for being here this morning. Last week we kicked it off by talking about how we shouldn't be too quick to judge a problem without considering perspective, right? We're really good about that, aren't we? Jumping in and judging what a problem might be without really trying to put ourselves in the shoes of another person that is going through something that we don't even understand. Kendall and I have talked about this many times. We've been blessed to not experience any mental health issues, but because of that, it's sometimes hard for us to relate to people who are going through difficult circumstances. And so I think this is good for us, whether you're going through an issue yourself or whether you're on the other side of it and helping somebody walk through it. So don't be too quick to judge a problem without considering perspective. And then also we talked about how we have this power within the community. There's power here within the body of Christ, within the family of Jesus Christ, because we're all on the same team. We all have this common thread, and we're here for one another. We share one another's burdens. We share one another's joys, and so that helps our mental state as well. And we also tried to bust a couple of myths that I think are out there in the world. One is Christians shouldn't struggle with mental health, and God doesn't care about your mental health, and both of these myths are completely untrue. In fact, we learned a new Greek word last week to talk about that. Do you guys remember what that Greek word was? Baloney, right. Very good. Okay, you were paying attention. I don't know if you heard anything else through the whole sermon, but I've had so many people talk to me this week about baloney. That was good. I remember that. That's really not Greek, just in case you didn't know that. But anyway, today we're turning our attention to what Satan is trying to do to us by looking at how he lies to get us off track. He's continuously throwing lies at us to try to get us to think things that we shouldn't think. And Satan's mission is, we know, to kill us, right? That's what the Bible says. He wants to steal our joy. He wants to rob us of the joy that God intended for us. And so he's going to do everything that he can to rob us of that joy. And so he's going to lie to us. He's going to tell us all kinds of lies. So we're going to deal with one of those lies today, then another lie next week, and then another lie the week after that, and then see how God's promises relate to that lie. But Satan's going to lie to us. It kind of reminds me of the lady who was pulled over for speeding one day by an officer, and policeman approached the driver's door, and the lady says to him, is there a problem, officer? And he said, ma'am, you were speeding. Can I see your license, please? She responded, I'd give it to you, but I don't have a driver's license. And he said, you don't have one? He said, well, no. She said, I lost it because I was drunk driving 3 times. And the police was shocked and said, okay, can I see your registration, please? She said, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that. He said, why can't I see your registration? She said, well, because I stole this car. And the officer said, you stole it? And she said, yeah. And top it all off, I killed the owner. At this point, the officer got really worried. Said, you what? She said, yeah, I killed him, and he's in the trunk if you want to see. Well, the officer looked at her, and he was completely freaking out. And so he calls his supervising officer, calls for backup. The supervisor shows up. 5 other police cars show up. They're surrounding the car. As the senior officer, the supervisor, approaches the car, he's got his hand on his gun, worried about this woman, just ready to pull it if he needs to, and says, ma'am, could you step out of the car? She said, sure, I can do that. Is there a problem? He said, well, one of my officers told me that you stole this car and murdered the owner. Murdered the owner, she said. Yeah, could you open the trunk of the car and let me see? And she said, sure. So he opens the trunk of the car, and there's nobody there. And the officer said, is this your car, ma'am? And she said, yeah, this is my car. I said, well, can I see the registration? She gets the registration, shows it to her. Well, do you have a driver's license? Yeah, I have a driver's license. And the officer, the commanding officer, he said, "Ma'am, I got to tell you, I'm a little confused right now. One of my officers told me you didn't have a driver's license. He told me you stole this car, you murdered the owner." And she replied, "I bet you he told you I was speeding too." That's dumb, isn't it, Steve? That's dumb. You know. Buckle up, get ready, all right? We're going to take a look at how Satan does those kinds of things. Satan plays those games. He lies to us. He throws these things at us and he makes us believe these things are true, and he throws these huge lies at us. And the first thing that he tells us that I want to talk about today, Satan whispers into our ears at times, and he says to you, your life is meaningless. Your life doesn't matter. Maybe some of you have had this thought in your head before, and some of you maybe are sitting out there, you've got this thought in your head right now, that my life just doesn't matter, and it really wouldn't be all that big a deal if I wasn't here. And so when we have this thought, how can we move against it? What can we do to counter Satan's attacks, to counter Satan's lies? Back in the 90s, when school shootings first started happening, Dartmouth Medical Research did a study called Hardwired to Connect. It was released in 2003, and the study was done by 33 different children's doctors. It was done by research scientists, mental health, and youth service professionals. And this was the opening statement of their article. It said, what is the crisis? The crisis comes in two parts. The first part is the deteriorating behavioral and mental health of U.S. children. We are witnessing high and rising rates of depression, anxiety, attention deficit, conduct disorders, thoughts of suicide, and other serious mental, emotional, and behavioral problems among U.S. children and adolescents. And the report concludes saying that the main cause of this crisis that has been happening in our society, well, for a long time, but first was noted in the early 90s, I think, is this lack of connectedness within American adolescents. In other words, close connections to other people, connections to spiritual meaning like we once had before the 90s are not as prevalent as they used to be. In other words, our youth are more disconnected now than they've ever been. And underneath these factors, or underneath this disconnection, are several different factors. They talk about the divorce rate going so high, and the busyness of our schedules, and the shallowness of our relationships. A lot of surface relationships. There's a lack of honesty within relationships. People move around from job to job to job a lot more often than they used to, and they disconnect from family and extended family and close friends, and then people are left behind to have to deal with having that kind of loss in their lives. But when we read the Bible, we see that we were made for deep connections. God wired us in such a way to have deep connection with people. And the problem is, a lot of people are not having the intimate relationships that they used to have. Too many surface relationships, and because of that lack of relationship, people are dealing with more anxiety and they're dealing with more depression than they ever have. Between the years 2007 and 2017, the number of those suffering with anxiety and depression tripled in teenagers. In 10 years, it tripled. Anxiety and depression. The Journal of American Medical Association published this. People in each generation of the 20th century were 3 times more likely to experience depression than the people of the preceding generation. There are studies that also show that depression is hereditary. And so some people, they get it genetically, and then because they deal with it already genetically, you throw in all of the things that are going on in our society, it just piles on top of another, and it's no wonder so many people are dealing with so many different things. So we have our behaviors that contribute to this, right? And we have the DNA that contributes to this. And then we get so wrapped up in a lot of things that we do that we have a hard time shutting our brains off at night. Does anybody have a hard time shutting your brain off at night, right? We do that, don't we? Why is that? We got a lot of things going on. And then on top of that, we watch TV at night. We watch the news. We see things that are going on in Israel. And we start to worry about different things like that. And then, maybe we're on social media late at night. And a lot of people are into gaming and things like that. And so we're so filled with all of these things that get us amped up. Then we have a hard time shutting our brains off. And then our kids are dealing with it throughout the day, all day long. I saw this meme the other day. Thought it was pretty true. It said, this is how kids go outside to play every day, right? Have you seen this? This is how they go outside and play. Now, I'll be honest, I've witnessed this in a lot of our kids, in the people that I know, the lives of the people that I know, even my own family. Nick and I went golfing this week, and we took Avett with us, and Avett was great. He was perfect for 4 holes. And then he kind of lost interest. And he wasn't bad after that, but he started getting a little antsy, and he started, getting a little tired of being there, and so on and so forth. And so he started asking for the phone. And I was really proud of Nick, because Nick said, no, buddy, we're outside. We're playing outside. We're not going to play on our phones. I'm like, attaboy, Nick, I am so proud of you. And then it started messing with his golf game a little bit. And so then we caved and said, all right, take your phone. No, actually, he did a great job. It was wonderful through the whole thing. But before we get too hard on our kids, because we need to look at what we do as parents sometimes. I saw this meme too. What's the point of being afraid of a zombie apocalypse when you're already in one? How many of you have seen people like that, just walking around? You know how many people I've bumped into at the grocery store or at another store because they've walked out of an aisle into another aisle and they just got their head in their phone and they about, take somebody out. Just one more meme, because you're loving these so much. What it feels like when you forget your cell phone at home for the day. Have you seen the movie Castaway? You feel like you're on an island all by yourself. You feel disconnected. And what happens is this: when our kids are constantly on their phones, or even when we're constantly on our phones, or when we're gaming, it's my understanding that all of these things that we do, what happens is it overworks the stimulation of serotonin and dopamine in our brains. And those are 2 different hormones. They're known as the happy hormones. Those are the 2 things that give us happiness, that give us joy. And so we overwork those things to the point of burning them out, and then we're just zapped. We don't have any feelings of joy. We don't have the feelings of happiness that we should have because it's all used up. Now, we're going to focus on a spiritual problem, but I want to be very clear about this. Anxiety, depression, other forms of mental illness, they're real. And we've got to get over the stigma. It's just as real, it's just as biological as any other disease. Just diabetes or anything like that. There are some people that just struggle with it. It's a real biological problem. But what secular people leave out is that it is also a spiritual problem sometimes, and we need to deal with that. We need to focus on that. Because here's what it says in Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 12. A final word. Paul's writing to the church at Ephesus, right? And so he's wrapping up this letter. He's saying a final word. Now, when you say this is the last thing that I want to talk to you about, it's probably pretty important, right? And so he's writing to the church at Ephesus. He says, a final word. Be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. Put on all of God's armor so that you'll be able to stand firm against all strategies of the devil. For we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against evil spirits in the heavenly places. One thing you need to understand this morning, church, the devil is real. There is a spiritual battle that's going on that sometimes we will push to the side for whatever reason. We've done it for years. We push it to the side and we don't want to talk about that. Oh, we're good talking about angels and we're good talking about heaven and all the good stuff, but we fail to realize that there is a real enemy out there. His name is Satan, and he's got demons, and he's doing everything that he can possibly do to lie to you and get you off track. The battle is real. You're fighting against an enemy. According to what Paul says here, you're fighting against an enemy that you can't see. And he's all alone. He is stronger than you. If you do it all by yourself, you try to do it just by you and in your strength, He is stronger than you. He's smarter than you. Jesus spoke this in John chapter 8, verse 44. He was a murderer from the beginning. He has always hated the truth because there's no truth in him. When he lies, it is consistent with his character. For he's a liar and the father of lies. And so if we know the devil is a liar, we know that he is a murderer, he's going to try to take your life. And he might do that all at one time, or he might do it like, how many of you remember that old Johnny Cash song from back in the 60s, One Piece at a Time? Anybody ever hear that one song, One Piece at a Time, where he basically builds his own Cadillac by stealing parts from the auto manufacturer, and he throws it all together, and he does this one piece at a time? Well, sometimes Satan, he'll destroy you just one piece at a time. He'll ding you here, he'll nick you here, he'll pull the rug right out from under you here until he's got you completely overtaken. And so here's some things we need to understand. Just some things we need to put on the radar for us to know. Number one, Satan uses the culture to create darkness. There is no doubt that Satan is in cahoots with our culture. He's using the media. He's using the entertainment industry. He's using everything that he can possibly do to destroy us. He's destroying our families. He's destroying the very definition of what marriage is. And so we have to be on our guard. We have to know this and be ready to stand against it whenever he comes. Satan also uses science and academics to create darkness. I love the fact that we have our Christian school here because we don't have to cave to what the public schools say we have to teach. We are able to teach creation. We are able to give a biblical worldview of science and the things that God has made. And so what the world would have us to believe is that we're all just a product of randomness. Right? We're just all here. It's just an accident. And because we're an accident, we're not special. We're not important. We're small. We're insignificant. And so because of this fact, a lot of people self-medicate through things like drugs and alcohol and other addictions. And Satan will convince us there's no such thing as a spiritual realm. Satan will say to us, it's not true. He's, you know what? Satan is good with you believing in heaven. He's good with that. But he doesn't want you to believe that even he exists or there's other things. And it's a great cover so that he can ambush us, right? Because if we believe that there's really not an enemy coming after us and that everybody, they just live their life and when they die, they're able to go to heaven. If we can believe that, he's got us right where he wants us. And so it's a perfect cover for him to slip in and ambush us. Just think about what he's able to get away with. You've probably experienced some of these things in your own head, in your life. He comes to us and says, that's just your own, that's just a voice. That's just your own voice in your head. That's not the devil, right? Listen, you're in a lot of pain, and because the pain is so intense, there's no way out, so you just need to end it. It won't really matter because you don't really matter. That's what he wants us to believe. That's the lie that he is feeding to a lot of different people. And he says also that there are no consequences of our behavior. Just do whatever you want to do because there's no consequences. There's no moral absolutes. Everybody just get together. Let society decide what's right and wrong. Hey, what's good for you, that's between you and God. You just do that. I'm going to do my own thing. There's no moral absolutes. There is no ruler to govern your life by. There is no right and wrong. If it makes you happy, you just do that for yourself and it's all good. It's okay to step on others if you want to get where you want to get because there is no right and wrong. It's all about making you feel better. Go ahead and be a bully. Go ahead and write that post so that you can get your likes from some of the people that you want to get your likes from. I should be able to have sex with anybody I want to. If I get pregnant, I'll just abort it. A little baby was in my way of happiness anyway, and my happiness is more important than my baby's happiness. In fact, I won't even call it a baby anymore. I'll call it a fetus. Do you hear the lies of Satan? Isn't that what's happening in our society? I know I was born a boy, but I want to be a girl. I know I was born a human, but I want to be a cat. Don't laugh at that. Because I know we sit there and we say that that's, I shouldn't say crazy, but yeah, it's crazy. And people are dealing with some craziness in their head because they're believing these lies that Satan are telling. That doesn't make them any less, doesn't make them any less significant in God's eyes. They bought into a lie, and society is feeding into it and saying, it's okay. It's okay. In fact, it's so okay, we're going to even put litter boxes in our school so you can use that. And they do it. Satan loves to come alongside us and convince us that there's no consequences for the choices that we make. He also lies about the nature of who we are. So if we're here by accident, people really are just like animals, no different than the animals, because we're all here by accident, okay? And so if people are just animals, we kill animals. What's the difference? Right? Isn't that what he says to us? He also says that person's skin color means that they're inferior to you. Or those old people are destroying Social Security, so let's just buy into euthanasia. Let's start wiping some of these older people out who they're not going to get better anyway. And on and on and on it goes, and people are buying into it, and the society is just justifying sinful behavior. It's not political, people. We've made it a political thing. It's spiritual. And Satan is having a heyday. And sometimes it's overwhelming. And sometimes it gets us to the point, it's like, I don't know if I can take it anymore. And that's why sometimes our brains don't shut off when we go to sleep at night. Because we look at everything that's going on. I hear so many young people saying, I don't even know if I want to get married and have children because I don't want to bring a baby into a world like this. But you need to understand something. God creates a culture of light and light with His truth. And so we need to know the truth. Because if we know the truth, then we know that what Satan's lies are, right? God said this in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27. The true nature of who we are. God said, let us make human beings in our image to be like us. They will reign over the fish of the sea. Okay, so right there, let's just stop there for a minute. We are more than animals. God says right here, you will reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the livestock, all the wild animals on the earth, and the small animals that scurry along the ground. God gave us dominion over those things. We were created higher than them. Right? And so when someone comes to you and says, well, it's wrong to kill animals, I'm like, I want to turn around to say to them and say, how would you like your steak prepared, actually? Not, that's what I want to say. I don't. Jesus won't let me because I'm trying to win them to Jesus, right? But I just want to be like, are you serious? Anyway, the world was not an accident. We're not here as a result of a cosmic explosion. God very clearly says, if you call yourself a Christian and you believe in His Word, He very clearly says, we're not here by accident. You're not an accident. You are special. You are very special. You have a quality that will outlast this world because you were made to be like Him. You are known. You are significant. You are the apple of His eye. Psalm 139, verses 1 through 6. Follow along with me on the screen, if you will. O Lord, you have examined my heart and know everything about me. You know when I sit down or stand up. You know my thoughts, even when I'm far away. You see me when I travel and when I rest at home. You know everything that I do. You know what I am going to say, even before I say it, Lord. You go before me and you follow me. You place your hand of blessing on my head. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too great for me to understand. So God created you, and He created you uniquely. There's not another single one of you out there. You are absolutely unique. And He says this, continuing in Psalm 139, verse 13, "You made all the delicate inner parts of my body and knit me together in my mother's womb. Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous. How well I know it. You watched me as I was being formed in utter seclusion, as I was woven together in the dark of the womb. You saw me before I was born. Every day of my life was recorded in your book. Every moment was laid out before a single day had passed." Here's the situation. Your biological mother and father only participated in what God did when He created you. Nobody's here by accident. You are not an accident. You are not insignificant. You are here because God wanted you here. No matter what else anybody has to say about you, God wants you here. You are valuable to Him. And He's the one that matters the most. His opinion matters the most. I remember writing a song several years ago called Audience of One. His opinion's the only one that matters. And that's how we need to approach our lives. That's what comes. That doesn't mean that everybody else's opinions are insignificant, but His is top. And we start living for Him and worrying about His opinion, we're going to get along in this life a whole lot better off. No matter what anybody else says about you, understand what God says to you and how valuable you are to Him. And so not only does He create this culture of light and truth for us, He tells you the true reality of your behavior. And here it is. Sin is real. It is in you. You can't make excuses, and there are consequences. You can blame God if you want. You can blame other people if you want to. But we are the product of our sinful nature and the choices that other sinners make for us and around us. I think that's why it's so easy for us to run to the darkness, right? Because that's what we're used to. That's what we see, right? And so we run to that because it's easy. But beneath all of that, you are more. And God got beneath all of that. God said, listen, I know that all of this other stuff is going on. I saw it happening when I created the world. When Adam sinned, when Adam and Eve sinned, it wasn't like God just said, hey, you know what? That really caught me off guard. What are we going to do now? I better have a plan B. He knew what was going to happen before it ever happened, right? And so He had this plan to send His Son Jesus into the world to die for you because He loves you. Even though we were sinners, even though He knew what this world was going to do to Him, Jesus was always going to come to earth because God knew the choices we were going to make. And the Bible tells us that Jesus can make us clean. Jesus can make us new. You are known by the Creator of all that there is. You know, it's kind of nice whenever, like I know some people that are kind of famous, right? Not like rock stars or anything, but some people that are kind of famous. A lot of people know them. And it's kind of cool to think that somebody that's really well known would know me and know my name, maybe let me have their phone number and that kind of stuff. It's kind of cool to know that. We're talking about the Creator of the universe. Knows me. He knows you. You are not an accident. He wants you to talk to Him on a regular basis. And because of that relationship, because of what He's done for you, if you are in Christ, you have position with the Father. You have purpose in your life. He's got a plan for your life. And there's this spiritual realm where the enemy is trying to needle his way in, and he's trying to kill you, and he lies to you, and he surrounds you with lies. The devil's a liar, guys. But if we do what John says in 1 John chapter 1, verses 5 through 7, we can have a greater fellowship with Jesus and will become less susceptible to the lies of Satan. Listen to this. This is the message we heard from Jesus and now declare to you. God is light, and there's no darkness in Him at all. So we are lying if we say we have fellowship with God, but go on living in spiritual darkness. We're not practicing the truth. But if we're living in the light as God is in the light, then we have fellowship with each other, and the blood of Jesus cleanses us from all sin. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 19 and 20. And as I'm reading this, I'm going to ask some of our musicians to come up here and get ready to go into a song. Here's what it says in Deuteronomy 30, 19 and 20. Today, I have given you the choice between life and death, between blessings and curses. Now I call on heaven and earth to witness the choice you made. Oh, that you would choose life, so that you and your descendants might live. You can make this choice by loving the Lord your God, obeying Him, and committing yourself firmly to Him. This is the key to your life. And if you love and obey the Lord, you will live long in the land of the Lord, swore to give your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So the basic tenet of this is God knows you. Choose life. Satan's trying to tell you, choose to end it. But God is saying, choose life. Keep going. It's worth it in the end. I recently heard a song. It's called Made for More by Josh Baldwin. And as I was preparing the message this week, like this song is perfect for what I'm talking about. So I want to sing a little bit of it for you. And then I want you to join me in singing it as well. And then we'll offer a song of invitation. Messed up a good introduction, didn't it? I know who I am, 'cause I know who you are. The cross of salvation was only the start. Now I'm chosen, free and forgiven. I have a future, and it's worth the living. 'Cause I was made to be tending a grave. I was called by name, born and raised back to life again. I was made known. So why would I make a bed in my shame when a fountain of grace is running my way? I was made for more. I know who I am, 'cause I know who you are. The cross of salvation was only the start. Now I am chosen, free and forgiven. I have a future, and it's worth the living. 'Cause 'Cause I wasn't made to be tending a grave. I was called by name, born and raised back to life again. I was made for more. So why would I make a bed in my shame when a fountain of grace is running my way? I know I am yours, and I was made for more. Hallelujah, you called out my name, so I'll sing out your praise. Hallelujah, you buried my past, I'm not going back. Hallelujah, you called out my name, so I'll sing out your praise. Hallelujah, you buried my past, so I'm not going back. 'Cause I wasn't made to be tending a grave. I was called by name, born and raised back to life again. I was made for more. So why would I make a bed in my shame when a fountain of grace is running my way? I know I am yours, and I was made for more. Would you stand and sing that chorus with me? I'm not afraid. I wasn't made to be tending a grave. I was called by name, born and raised back to life again, and I was made for more. So why would I make a bed in my shame when a fountain of grace is running my way? I know I am yours, and I was made for more. Sing that chorus one more time. 'Cause I wasn't made to be tending a grave. I was called by name, born and raised back to life again. I was made for more. So why would I make a bed in my shame when a fountain of grace is running my way? I know I am yours, and I was made for more. Nice and soft. I wasn't made to be tending a grave. I was called by name, born and raised back to life again, and I was made for more. Why would I make a bed in my shame? So why would I make a bed in my shame when a fountain of grace is running my way? I know I am yours, and I was made for more. Amen. If you believe that you were made for more, we're going to offer a song of decision this morning. And if you've not made that decision to follow Him, we believe that the Bible teaches you do that by confessing that Jesus is who He said He was. That's another lie that Satan will try to throw at you. You don't have to do that. Not a big deal. All roads will get you there. That's a lie he tells us. That's not what the Bible says. There's only one way. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through Him. The Bible also says you need to repent of your sins. You need to be baptized into Him. we encourage you, if you've not done that this morning, we encourage you to maybe make that decision this morning. Like I know Jesse and Tricia, they've made that decision. There's going to be a baptism after the service this morning. I'm really proud of you guys for the decision that you're making. Would you just praise God for that? And maybe that's something you want to do today as well. Maybe, again, you came not really prepared to do that. Well, we're prepared for you. We've got clothes you can change into back there, and we can do that if you want to enter into that relationship with Him through baptism. Maybe you're here and you've made that decision, but you've been dealing with a lot of stuff, and you just want to take some time to soak in the love of Jesus, the grace of Jesus, and just say, God, I'm sorry for doubting you. I'm sorry for some of the things that I've done. Thank you for covering my sin at Calvary. Maybe somebody needs prayer this morning. We'd love to pray with you this morning. Worship team's going to lead us in this song. And if you have a need, we encourage you to come this morning.